Say cheese! Hello and welcome to another Road to Red episode. I'm Anthony Saratelli of Jersey Filmmaker, and this week I'd like to tackle another topic that was brought up in the comments of a previous episode, and that topic is the Red's stills capabilities. Now, by no means is still photography my forte, but I have always loved pulling a still image from my videos over the years, and now with a Red camera, the quality is fantastic. There are a bunch of options in the camera settings that allow it to act more like a still camera, but I personally just like to shoot motion and pull still images from that. The problem with that is that they end up being large files and they take up a lot of space. I'll put a link in the description below to a video that describes the still options more in depth. But for now, just jack up your frame rate and your shutter speed to get some crisp images, and we'll take them into REDCINE-X. So here we are in REDCINE-X, which is a free program offered by Red that can be downloaded on their website. I'll add a link below for this as well. REDCINE-X is an NLE, a non-linear editor, similar to Premiere, but with not quite as many bells and whistles. I wouldn't suggest using it to do your edits, nor do I know anyone that does, but great for reviewing your Red footage and quickly making adjustments to see what kind of grade you might want to go with. It also happens to be great for pulling stills. And here's how we do it. First of all, since we're not using this as an editor, I'm going to get rid of this sequence timeline down here by clicking this little arrow and giving us more space to work with. I've already gone through my file browser here to pull up the few shots I want to play with. And if you see down here in my project, I've actually already pulled the stills as well. But I'll show you how I got to this. These first three shots are footage from my Raven, and then this last shot is actually something I pulled off the Red website where they offer you some downloads to play with some of their footage, so why not play with some footage of a pretty girl? I have this playing back at a quarter resolution because it's pretty tough to play back 8K at full resolution. It takes pretty long to render. So as you can see though, the quarter resolution looks pretty good and renders pretty quickly. Let's say I want to take a still shot of this somewhere in here. Let's find a spot that we like. I like right before she closes her eyes, somewhere in there. I like this shot right here. So let's say we wanted to take a snapshot of this. The quickest way is to go right here to this little button called Snapshot. You click on this, and I have it set up to prompt me with what I want to call it and where I want to save it. You can do this in the preferences. I'll show you that in a second. I'm just going to save it to the desktop with the generic file name. Click Save. Once that's done, if I go over here, you'll see it's saved to my desktop, and it looks pretty darn good. Note that it saves it as a TIFF, because if you're familiar with photos, you know it's an uncompressed format, unlike JPEG, which will crush the image. If we take a look at the size of this image, you'll see that it's 169 megabytes just for this one image. It's pretty large. So that's literally the quickest way to get an image out of your footage. If you're just rummaging through, you can quickly make some changes over here, do whatever you want, put a look on it, and quickly hit the snapshot. It'll save it to wherever you want. But another way to do it is to click this Still Snapshot button. If you click on this, it sends it over here into your project. As you can see, I already have them saved in here. If you double click on this, you're now in your project, and off of your file browser file, you're actually on your project file. Now you can make your changes. This is only a one frame. I can't push play and play through this. This is the still snapshot. So now we can make our changes in here with whatever you want. I'm going a little crazy just to show you that it quickly adjusts everything. Let me reset this. I've actually saved some presets. Here's the pretty girl preset. Just gives her some life, in my opinion. So since I already have my still snapshot selected from my footage, I'm just going to delete this one and go ahead and add these presets. That's the pretty girl preset. Let's make this a little bigger. This is the baby Davy preset. Let's make that vibrant. This is the fire pit preset, which I thought was pretty cool. Look at these. I didn't do that fast of a shutter speed here, and it was catching these flames flying off with this charcoal fire starter thingy. And then here's the chain link I want to desaturate a little bit. So now that we have these, we're going to go over to our export tab. And in order to export these, we have to create a preset. This is kind of odd, but you can't just drag these into the export area and decide what you want them to be and push the export button like you can in After Effects or even Premiere. So what we have to do is create a preset. So we click this little plus button. We're going to come here and drop this down to a TIFF and then go to Setup. We'll keep it at 16 bits per channel, leave the byte order the way it is. We don't need to click the color profile. We'll just leave it uncompressed, max writers, click OK. You can make all the other adjustments, but let's just leave it pretty simple. We'll call this TIFF preset. Save that. Now that we have our TIFF preset, we can go down here, and I don't have these in a timeline, but I do have them in the bin over here on the left side selected. So we'll go to bin, selected clips, and click export. It's going to ask us where we want to save it. I have it on the desktop. I'll just click OK with that, and now it starts rendering out all the exports, and it's done. Here are all 4 of our images, fully TIFFed out, uncompressed. Look how big that one is. Took a little while to open. So that's a secondary way to do it. I find the other way much quicker. The only problem is that if you're searching through your footage here and you pick a spot that you like and you see, oh, look, I see all these flames coming off, and oh, I want this frame. And I start making my adjustments and all this stuff, and then I'm not sure yet, and I was like, you know what, let me look through more. And then it's like, oh man, now I got to find that original spot I was at. So it is nice to take the still snapshot and put it over here in your project, but then you have to go through the trouble, quote unquote trouble, of going through this export process. So quick review, the easiest, quickest way is to click on this snapshot button. Again, the way I have this set up is if you come over here to preferences, snapshot, save snapshot to, you can set this wherever you want. I have it to my desktop. You could set it to a certain project if you're working on a certain project. But that means when you click on here, you have the option of renaming and where you want to save it. One last really cool thing, if we go back over to the export tab, is if you are a photo person and do your edits in Photoshop, once these are rendered out, you can right click and go send to Photoshop, and it will automatically open the TIFF in Photoshop. So you don't have to go save it somewhere, bring it into Photoshop. It will pull it straight in if that's what you prefer to do. So that's a pretty neat feature. So go shoot some high res, low compression images and see what you can pull out of these things. I mean, it really is amazing. REDCINE-X is the quickest, easiest way to pull a still. Go ahead and give it a try. So that's all for this episode. Just know that there are many ways to work with stills in RED cameras. That's just my way of doing it. Take it, use it, make it your own, and go pull some quality images. If you thought this was helpful, please click the like button, subscribe, and hit that little bell if you want to get alerts to all future episodes. I'd love to know what you guys want to hear me talk about, so please keep leaving comments below or on any of my social medias at Jersey Filmmaker. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.